Grand Innovations family. I started pre-recording a video and someone contacted me. Messed the video up, so now I'm back. I'm going to break this up into two sections. First one, I'm going to talk about some of the projects I've just completed, and then I'm going to go right into finishing up the reading of Terra Infinita. Okay, we're going to get through this book this morning, and so we can finish this up and get into the sacred secretions because there's a lot of information there that we have to unpack. First thing I want to show you guys is some of the projects I've done. This is a K, right, on the back, and this is the front. So this is for my granddaughter's room. And you can kind of tell it's a K, but I think what I did was I got happy with gluing down the flowers, and I should have used one smaller flowers, right? Smaller flowers for this arrangement. I have another letter that I'm going to be working on for her. That's a K. It's a brown letter, and I think what I'm going to do is make the petals smaller, and of course hot glue them in like I've done this, like this wreath, or this arrangement. And then we're going to hang this on the wall with some butterflies. So I'll have to take a picture and upload it once I get the room done. She has a really cute blingy chandelier that we're going to put together. I'm going to do her wall, and she's got a really pretty bedding set that's going to go on there. So it's going to look really posh and cute when we're done with her room. Another project that I've done is this blanket. It's a throw blanket. This is a moss stitch that I love so much. I finished all my projects and then washed them, put them in the washer with Dreft, throw them in, and they smell so good. So I like to always wash my projects after I finish crocheting them to get all the DNA and stuff off, and then to fluff them out, put them in the dryer after I wash them, and see how well they wash and see how well they wear, right? Okay, another project that I finished. Same stitch, you guys. Moss stitch. See? This was actually supposed to be my blanket because I've never made myself a blanket. Out of all the projects I've done over the years, I always make stuff and give it away or either sell it. So this blanket was supposed to be mine, but my sister saw it. One of my sisters, the one closest to me in age, she saw it. She's like, I like that blanket. I want that one. And I had made her another Skittles blanket, like a rainbow color, and she didn't like that. So she liked this one, so I decided to give her my blanket. So this is hers. And then this is my daughter-in-law's throw for her living room sofa. And then, of course, I have my granddaughter's thing. Sorry. Got my PJs on at 4 a.m. in the morning. This blanket, another blanket I started for my brother, a moss stitch. You can see the knot that I tied in here. I've tried different joins. I've tried the Russian join. I've tried the gluing in the yarn. For me, tying in works the best. That's just me. And some people don't want knots in their project, but I mean, I think it's more secure and sturdy. But this is also going to be a moss stitch. You can see the square. Then it's going to grow. And I tied on, this is the first skein that I've got going on. And it's, I'm going to do two skeins. So it's going to be about 1,600 yards. So that's a pretty big size blanket. So right now I think I have probably a total of about 10 blankets that are in rotation with 2 shawls. But I know at some point I'm going to be doing a market. So I'm going to do market bags, shawls, washcloths, facial scrubbies, maybe beanies, ponytail beanies, things like that for your spa, like little spa kits, scrubbies, washcloths, headbands. So when you do your, your face and things like that, that you can, utilize those things, right? So, and then also my favorite, which are the market bags, reusable cotton bags that you can take into the grocery store, fill them up with things, come out, wash them, reuse them, and kind of cut down on the plastics and things like that. So that's a little bit about my crafting. I want to jump off of here, come back, and we're going to start reading The Hidden Lands of Antarctica. Actually, we're going to finish up with Terra Infinita, okay? And actually, I don't even have to jump off here. I'll just go ahead and just pick up right here. So we discussed my yarn projects in the beginning, some of the things that I've completed. Showed you one blanket that I have working up. And so now we're going to jump on chapter 25. We're going to start off with this book, Terra Infinita, because we've read the other, I think I've read the other 4 books. Hold on. And I should have pulled them down. Sorry. I should have pulled them down before I get on camera. I have so much stuff, you guys, it's not even funny. I need to clean my office today while I'm off. I need to clean my office. Hold on. My apologies. 1 second. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so these books, Hidden Lands, Lands of Mars, Navigate Across the Ice Walls. I've read these 2 books to you. This one we kind of went through the chapters really quickly, but this one I've read. So, and it's on my Facebook page and in the group that I started back in 2019 when I was cataloging information. Very interesting books. I'm glad that I was able to purchase these books and to read and know and kind of formulate and understand in my mind and put the pieces together of what's going on and who's running things, right? All right, so chapter 25, because we're almost done with this series. And then we're going to jump into the sacred secretion. And we're going to have to unpack that because it's a lot of data, a lot of information that we're going to have to discuss. It says, the previous reset has been the cruelest of all because they were close to losing control. It could not have been otherwise. It is even said that these periods where humans and giants were controlling the situation. But once the 4 great centers fell, the millions of deaths left by the war, it was difficult to recover. We all knew at one point that we had been defeated. My mother has told me so many times this story, which in turn was told by her mother. I already repeated by heart. She was only a newborn, you understand. They lived in a prosperous world, and suddenly all their dreams were trampled. Many found loved ones who had been dead next door, who died next door. Their houses were on fire or disappeared. They used technology that they would not understand. They could even petrify beings. They had already done it in the past. They had to see themselves in a really desperate situation. When all was lost, the great flood began, as is known here, the mud flood. In reality, this happened in different forms, but it dragged everything in its path. It was something of a colossal dimensions. Many of the humans that grew up after the last reset used vestiges of these monuments or buildings. Even some had withstood the war and the flood quite well. They were resistant to ancestral technology. They were prepared for everything. That is why you will notice that these many images of the past do not match the reality that people live, the difference in technology and architecture. They mix the history in such a way that it is difficult for you to understand it completely, but at least you will have an idea of how the whole process was taking place. The resets, with some differences that existed, at least the ones I know of, are almost always carried out in the same way. They put a limit of years for the race that are controlling to develop to reach a point of knowledge and technology. They will always try to manipulate reality to reach the point as slow as possible. They take it really as a game. Basically, they will try to pause your spiritual growth and the truths about your origin and your world environment where you are. Clearly, they will never make themselves known, nor will you have any kind of contact with them. But you will be able to find them in history in several ways and forms. The Gajars, those who say they are but are not the synagogue of Satan. They're remnants of people, their ancestors. They're remnants of the people. What they do, and I'm going to keep this short, and I have to watch what I say on here because I've noticed that when I upload my videos, they cut the sound. Yeah, they cut it. They block out certain things, so I have to be careful what I'm going to say. What I've seen here and just been my studying and my research, and you guys, everybody has their own perception of reality and what we call this great land or the known lands. But from my point of view, they always infiltrate the area that they want to go to in every continent they've been in. They send people in, scouts, to infiltrate, to learn the customs, to study the people. They put key positions in place. They execute many of the elders and the people there. And they keep the young, like they're going to say here in this book, and then they groom them up in great positions of power. And they teach them and educate them on what they want them to know. And this is how every single continent has been infiltrated with these beings. And this was the race that was created after us, after the Autochthonous, okay? There are many different races that were created here by the extraterrestrials, and we're giving, and I know everybody has their own take and a belief, but I'm just simply saying to you, we're not the only intelligent beings that's ever been created in this Earth dome, okay? And once we can wrap our heads around that and have an intelligent discussion to say, okay, yeah, we were upgraded, we already existed, our cousins, our ancient ancestor cousins, but they gave us a little something extra, right? And then after we were created, which we were all around the world, we had great cities, and they had another race that they created and came behind us. And that's the most destructive race, I think, on this planet. And I'm not being racist when I say that. I'm not being harsh, but it's the reality of the situation. When you start to read and you study the hidden history, the forbidden history, the narrative that they've painted, you can see what individuals are behind it. Now, in love, our lighter skinned brothers and sisters, pale skinned brothers and sisters, Caucasian, whatever you want to call them. I hate to say white because it's a crayon color. Everybody is waking up. And you know what? I have multiple races in my family. My grandfather was white. So I can't sit up here and say there's a certain set of group of people that have caused devastation and destruction. Within that race, yes. Yes. But the crazy thing is they all came from an indigenous woman like myself, an autochthonous person, because we carry the Eve gene. So it's like, what are we doing here, people? What are we doing? It's hard to have a intelligent conversation with most people. And I stay to myself because, first of all, I don't really like people like that. I don't like being in a room full of people. I don't go to big events. I don't do any of that shit. I don't like it because I always can feel their energy. I feel drained. I'm an empath. I pick up on things that are going on around me. And I can tell when the energy shifts in the room and how it feels when I walk in. And it's very draining and very taxing to me. I actually have to put on a shield around me before I go out because it interferes with me and it drains me. I don't like the way I feel when I'm around a lot of people. So I intentionally limit my places of interaction with folks for that reason. But my point is that we need to come together. It can't keep continuing this because this next reset that we're in right now, this is why they're letting all these people over into this country illegally, and giving them cell phones and debit cards and funds and things like that to put on a front because it's going to be a coup here directly. The chaos is going to ensue on this land. And the crazy thing is, on our ancestral soil, the autochthonous people in the United States, and I hate using the word black because that's falling into the indoctrination. We're not black. If we decided to work together and wake up as one, there wouldn't be anything they could do to stop this. They would probably institute another reset. We're already in the middle of one, but they would probably carry it out a lot quicker. It would be a lot more. It would be exponentially chaotic and a catastrophe like these other ones. But I think, these beings that are in power right now, they've messed up. I really think they've got the attention of the creator of all, and it's not going to work out in the way that they think it's going to work for them. That's all I'm going to say. I can't really say too much. I have to be careful about what I say, but I am a big proponent of going past the ice walls and starting more civilizations over there, more people over there, intelligent, thought-provoking, forward-thinking people, right? So I recognize that here in the known lands, we've got a fight in our hands, and my last name is Slaughter. It is. It really is. All right, let me get back to it. So it says, when a reset takes place, let's call it natural. Considering that the previously established limit of years was reached, they will make everyone over 7 months of age unalive. And then this can also be decided in advance, or it will simply be thought of at the moment in meetings of the parasitic dome. The flood that my parents, my grandparents, and all the generations suffered was the same that would have happened in case we had reached the limit of years of development. So they did this quicker because they felt like they were losing control, this last one. Only that they initiated this in an urgent way because of the war that had been unleashed. The last reset in these lands did not reach the time limit that they had established for our development. But we were too far, we're not far away either. If we consider that when the giants visited and joined these lands, they started to educate us about the lands and the life behind the walled environment. We started to learn too many things that they had considered dangerous. Not to make this answer so long, your babies of 7 months or less, then that will be left alive. Not all that were decided depending on many factors. Those above that age were in a catastrophe removed, and then of different kinds. This world environment is just mainly manipulated in its entirety by them. Imagine you live inside a greenhouse. You can understand it in this way. You can make it bloom, or you can poison it from one day to the next and do it slowly. And that's what we're living in right now. We live in a dome, on a flat earth. And all these different domes around us are pretty much the same makeup. They're a domed environment, and they have different flora and fauna, different beings that live there, different plants, different organisms there. And these people that are in power know this. They know it. And now if you speak it now in natural, in conversation, people think, oh, it's a fantasy. It's not real. But it is real. We're being monitored 24/7. And so they see that we're waking up. And the ones here in the United States, the Athantanist brothers and sisters, we really need to wake up exponentially. I mean, we need to wake up with the quickness. And it's happening, but it's just not happening fast enough. So it says, chapter 26, the continuing journey of William Morris. My father returned to these lands, to the lands where he was born. He longed day after day, planning over and over again how he could return to help those he considered he had left behind, his brothers, as he referred to them. Knowing this great and painful truth was killing him every day, imagining that your brothers were dying in there in a veritable hell of wars, manipulations, and pestilence, and that nothing you could do on the other side, where your life was also in danger, for by then the keepers had begun to attack the lands beyond the ice walls, which until that time had been kept silent. Not only that, but the custodians had encountered a great city of giants and giant humans, who were not only traitors to them, and therefore deserving of the worst punishment. By all accounts, the Anunnaki did not decide to take part in these attacks, and the custodians were quickly expelled from my lands, and the technology by then quite advanced, thanks again to the help of the Anakin. This surprised the custodians, who returned to the known lands with the fear of the possibility of losing them. They then tried to reinforce the walls with all the technology and military possible. A time of ridiculous treaties and military bases all over the area were coming to prevent any human being from being able to reach the truth. Now, was that enough to prevent our ships from coming through their bases? Okay. 27. The infiltrators double, so do the problems. When they least expected, the custodians had in their most precious colony about 14,000 infiltrated ancestors. These networks we created were part of the Morris and Butler plan, together with the giant leaders and several races that also participated and still participate in silence for human liberation. We knew the danger of infiltrating these lands, where we live here in the known lands, in the Earth Dome, inside the ice walls, as the custodians could never know that this amount was infiltrated, helping and informing many humans about other worlds, the spiritual potential, and the true human history. This could cause an immediate reset. Everything was delicate, that we could not be noticed in a treacherous way. At the beginning, it was not a big problem to overcome the barriers, the military bases, the custodial technology with radars that even cause earthquakes. What do you guys think CERN's doing? Everything is so compartmentalized. There are multiple energy centers they've set up around the walled known lands to detect them coming in and out. But not everything was happiness, and we knew that sooner or later it could happen. An alarm went off, an earthquake near what you know as the Antarctica Peninsula, or the known as the false Antarctica. A group of people traveling from the ancestral republic encountered a military base patrolling the area in an icebreaker. Our people sank the ship, and when they tried to escape, this excuse me, and this irremediably echoed in the great spheres that began to chase everyone in every corner you can imagine. Excuse me. With great lies and excuses, they went into homes in many countries around the world here, where they feared we were hiding for 10 years or more, and they searched every clue and began to use technology to control the movements of the new humanity. Although they already had this type of technology, they completely reinforced it after the Peninsula incident. So they have the all-seeing eye in the sky, monitoring everything we do. All this complicated the plan, and it was a complete setback since we had people infiltrated in high places, in spheres, politics, lodges, organizations, companies, universities, etc. This was a bit of an ice water bucket since we had been counteracting with our technology any custodial detection, and a great advance was being made to be able to finally carry out in a timely manner the transfer of many of the people who were beginning to awaken. Many of the 14,000 had to return. The fear was already a reality, and some ancestors died in the worst possible way as they were sentenced as traitors. I will not detail the many tortures they suffered. Captain Butler returned to our lands in solitude. I will never forget the day my eyes filled with tears, because it was the day I knew I would never embrace my father again. Excuse me. The death of chapter 20 the death of William Morrison. We covered that extensively in the Hidden Lands Beyond Antarctica. But I'm going to read through this because we only got like 2 chapters left, and that's it. We'll be done with this. It says, the death of William Morse. Butler approached my mother and me, crestfallen, and his eyes in blood. He was also wounded in an arm and in the leg. 10 or 15 meters were the most eternal of my life. When he was finally close to us, he looked up and could not hold back his tears. My father had died in the known lands at the hands of the custodian military technology near the Antarctic zone. The custodians had delivered to commandos and military leaders of certain countries advanced technology that they did not even know how to use. This was extremely dangerous for all life within the walled lands. In fact, the custodians knew very well that this was a big mistake and put at risk their own colony. I think that although they were experienced in war, they did not handle well that a race could overcome them, or danger that enthralled losing those lands. And this is all war games to them, as we've read. This is what's happening. This is what's playing out in front of us. And it's like you're on a speeding train and you're looking out the window and you see what's coming ahead and you're screaming and there's nothing coming out. It's nothing coming out. You're screaming and you're trying to shake people awake, and they're just willfully going along with their heads glued to the screen, not paying attention to what's coming. All right, let me keep reading. Enough of my commentary. The ship, Iron Blue, where my father was traveling along with some ancestors and humans of the new reset, disintegrated in midair while crossing the Antarctic skies. A large invisible barrier was created by the custodians just before the dome, of course. This was not known at the time, and many ships were destroyed. To put it simply, they blocked a part of the dome that we had opened by air. Butler was returning with William in another ship and told him in detail about the death of my father. Butler managed to survive by a miracle. Anthony was the one that helped save his life. It was undoubtedly the worst moment of my life, and really felt a lot of frustration and helplessness towards these lands. At that moment, I lost track of the custodians and the new humanity. I only thought about if it was really worth my father dying for a cause that seemed lost from the beginning. With time I understood, and now I understand. I feel it in my heart. I am also part of these lands, and I know that my father wanted as much as I do that humanity is freed forever. This technology that the custodians gave to some leaders of the new humanity had also brought some inconveniences with the known lands between countries. They used part of the technology to threaten and even attack each other. The use also to make ships and planes, all kinds of transport disappear. People disappearing, disintegrated to them. So, y'all know what that sounds like, right? I mean, I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of commentary, but this ties in so much information. It makes perfect sense now. It really does. Every time I read this. All this added to this knowledge given on the manipulation of the climate and the environment was in short a chaotic error that continues today. It has been feared since then that humanity would be destroyed in absurd wars with the use of biological weapons, or that the custodians would decide to reset for fear that they would be exterminated, or even that humans would use the technology to attack them. Obviously, the third option was the one that was farthest from the happening. When we see all these ships and they start talking about these these crafts and they don't know who's behind them, they know who's behind them. They know what race of beings is behind them because they're working with the races. See, this is all a stage. The world is a stage, and there's a cast of characters playing a role. And the average person like you and I, we need to wake up to that fact that this is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It literally is. It's all bullshit. We can get land, we can go out in the middle of nowhere, we can start a new civilization, we can build underground homes. But the fact of the matter is that many of us will not survive. And I myself could be included in that number that won't survive what's coming. But I know something that the average person doesn't know, and I know that we're infinite beings, and this is just the avatar sleeve that I'm in. This is not who I am. I'm much greater than that. And so are you. So fear not. For we are here for a purpose. And it's not for some little game or little experiment that these beings manipulated and to see how far they can go with things. No, it's time for us to stop the bullshit. Chapter 29, turning the human form into eternal freedom. I understand that you may be wondering, so where did the whole plan go? And it is a question I want to answer before I finish. Changes are going to happen. The plan was never abandoned. In fact, after my father's death, it impacted the Republic more as William was well loved along with Butler, and they represented the face of freedom and the direct link to the known lands. The fight against the custodians never ceased, and we remained steadfast against their oppression, manipulation, and control of these lands as well as other races. Unfortunately, we cannot move to the next phase yet because this takes time. The new humanity has a long way to go on a spiritual path. First, it must free itself from its own mind, which controls it and does not leave it in even a second to breathe, to be able to silence those inner voices that are nothing more than a custodial control that they have implanted since the beginning of this last cycle. The thousands of thoughts that come into your heads control you and many times breaks your dreams. Most of them are simply negative thoughts that competition you are subjected to, and the division between you and almost every cause that takes place here are really exhausting and can lead you to an easy path of surrender. This energy drain and sense of constant struggle to any race on any world would have wiped you out long ago, and you are not still standing. It only remains for the majority to know where the real enemy is. There are macabre psychological games that generate division among you, and to break this control and the conditioning. You gotta wake up. You gotta wake up and unplug from the indoctrination and see it for what it is. The new humanity has an admirable resistance to adversity and the infinite potential for spiritual growth, which is something we must exploit and can be taught from an early age. They will instead try to manipulate the children with weapons and distractions, bombard their little minds, and continue to try to create robots that follow their dogmas and patterns without question. They will use the unusual, the big media, the men and women recognized with degrees that are only given in the corrupt universities that they call distinguished or outstanding. The Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Rothschilds. Need I say more? Spelman College, Morehouse. They all have these names that are supposed to be HBCUs, but they're actually set up by the Gajars who work hand in hand with the custodians, the entities, the non human entities, and the ones they've appointed, the oligarchs, over the general population. That's the truth of it. I do not mean to leave studies or the universities, but on the contrary, maybe one of the ways would be to enter there and be the best in each field to be able to modify from within everything that is corrupted and manipulated by them. Anything we have totally, anyway, we have a totally different system than the current one in these lands. Within our plan is also this to be able to enhance the greatness of the real scientific advancement. Unfortunately, the ancestral and giant human advancements were destroyed or simply hidden from the new humanity. We will continue with the struggle to make this humanity understand that if they unite in true love, nothing would stop them. That their brothers are out there and also in here waiting for the right moment, that we have never forgot them. Many lost their lives trying to save them and will continue to do so. The ancestral technology will continue looking for the way to end this control. There are many other races that overcame the custodians and were able to free themselves. This is possible, but the human being will not be left easily because he has inside what no other race has. We are the source of life, the possible reason for the Great Dome, and surely the direct connection to other worlds beyond. We are different, and with the potential that few would imagine with all conditioning received in life in these lands. We are still in these lands, and we will continue standing here, fighting together with you, those who woke up from this bad dream called human farm and want to turn it into an eternal freedom. And I'm one of those people. I am one of those people. This is a great book. We finished it. So again, we finished Terra Infinita, Hidden Lands Beyond Antarctica, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Walls. And I briefly went through the lands of Mars. And this is, the 178 worlds under the Great Dome. This was an excellent read. I would highly recommend you guys to purchase these books if you haven't already done so, and just add them to your library. I was told about these books through one of the guys in the group or Facebook group that I created. He had told me about this, and then I saw a video on it, and so I decided to order the book, and I ordered this one first, and then I ordered this one and this one together. So, and then this one I just ordered a couple months ago, and I finished that book, bad boy, immediately. So these are the 4 books. There should be a 5th one coming out. Also, I ordered this book, the genealogy book, because I started going through and writing out my family's lineage. I actually have a profile set up online where I started pulling in records, and I hit up Camille. I don't know if you'll see this video or not. I know he's got tons of people and he's got tons of things that he does on a daily. So, Curio, if you see this video, and check your messages, because I have reached out to you. I am most definitely on that path of, I know based on what was told to me as a small child, what 2 tribes my family is from: the Blackfoot and the Cherokee, and of course English. So I knew that because they told me that as a child. I need to prove it out in paper for the generations behind me and my family, because they took the DNA swab. One of my siblings did that. She spit in a tube. I'm like, oh my God, it's the worst possible thing you could do. I had the test kit and I threw it away. I didn't do it. Thank God I didn't. But I want to prove it out in paper. Spitting in a tube does not show me anything, because it's all a game to them. So they can tell you wherever you want. Now it came back as we're from the Congo, and they got like 3 or 4 different countries, and I'm like, what the I know what my ancestors told me as a small child, right? When I was in Kentucky. I know what they told me. I know where our family hails from. Canada, Virginia, all around. They're spread out. But this was told to me by my grandfather and by my great aunts, so they, part of the family, they didn't grow up all together. We didn't grow up all together. We were split. So, you got two people growing up here in Kentucky and you got the rest in California. We were all brought together at some point. But my point is that if you don't know, you don't know, right? So it was told to me as a child, and I'm the one that has the information. So I feel like it's my duty to finish up the genealogy and go back as far as possible. I think I got to like the 1700s, 1790, 1780, and that's where I start to get, bump up from there. So that's why I need Khmer's assistance. So we can take a look at what I've grafted together and put together, and then go from there and go beyond that. Shout out to Red Wolf because he knows who his ancestors are. They've given him, the original Federalist Papers. He knows his family lineage. I can't say that. I know what they've told me when I was younger, but it was only 2 generations back. That's it. So to go back further than that, I don't know these people. They all passed before I was born. So I'm just going based on what was told to me as a child. So anyway, I'm not going to be too long-winded. I'm at, 36 minutes. So I wanted to do this short video on my projects, come and finish up and read to you all, and then just kind of give you my short synopsis. So in final closing, what I would like to say is that we are one of the greatest races ever created. And I know freedom is within. If we can free our minds, break away from what we've been taught in the illusion of self, in the illusion of all of this, and go back to center and to go back. When you tap into your sacred secretions and you go within and you reconnect with the All-Father, the creator of all, when you walk in your truth, that is when you start this journey of breaking free from the conditioning and the programming. It is one of the hardest things to do because when I did it, I went through a great depression. I did. I went through a very big depression when I started finding out this information and started reading. It's not for the faint of heart, but I'm not being discouraging when I say that. It's just I'm saying it in love. We lack a lot of spiritual understanding. We think by going into these worship centers and these buildings that were Tartarian built. I know that's a slang, but it was built at a great time and a great by a civilization from the past. We've been conditioned to believe a set narrative by these entities. And it's all for a game. It's all for show. It's all for control. It's not about developing or moving humanity towards something. It's about limiting our ability and taking away our freedoms. And a lot of people here in the known lands, especially in the Americas, are waking up to the bullshit that what's happening on TV with Biden and the Trump fiasco, what's happening with our borders, what's happening with all these people flooding over. We've got millions and billions of dollars going overseas to fight wars, but we can't take care of the simple, basic things here in the United States. We should not have people sleeping on we should not have people sleeping on the streets. We should not have our military veterans being pushed out of the veteran facilities and people coming in to sleep on the floors and, taking them before our veterans. What is going on here? If we would just all stop and say enough is enough and shut this mother down, it could happen. But too many people are comfortable in their own lives and living the lie and living this illusion. It's like very few of us know the reality and what's coming. As like I said, we're walking around and we're living among zombies, literally. And if you start speaking a different language, you talk to them like you had 12 eyes in your forehead, like you got 12 eyes. They look at you like. So it's like it's hard for me to relate to people, but I still believe deep down inside, this is why I'm here at this time, as well as you, because I know we have what it takes to persevere. And even if I'm killed in battle, so what? So be it. I exist outside of this template that we see me in, this avatar. I exist and I'm so much greater than that. In this vessel, it's limiting. But I truly believe while we're here, we need to rediscover ourselves, tap into our higher selves, learn to work the energy within our bodies, that's been disconnected, but we can reconnect because I know at one time we could regrow our limbs. We have the capability to do so much more. They put that shit in movies and in front of us just to taunt us. But it's real. It's real. And they've done all kinds of experiments underground with different animals, different beings, different humans, all kinds of stuff they've been doing. They've been doing from day one. As we read in these books, they've been doing a lot. They've been doing a lot of shit. They've lied about every single thing. And when the autochthonous person here in the United States wakes up to that fact and really starts to peel back the layers like an onion, we would be the most powerful race that there is. We as humans together as one, does not matter your skin color, but the people here in the United States need to recognize that the autochthonous, the indigenous people, which are color-coded, what they call black people, were the people that were here. We were here already when they came over on ships. That's a fact. And you know, a lot of I hate to use the word white or Caucasian. There are some of them that are waking up to that truth and they're like, oh shit, we were wrong. We're wrong. These people are not from Africa. They were already here. We came over here. Our ancestors, my great grandfather and grandfather, came over here on these people's land. And now we've got this mess on our hands. So we need to come together in love and understanding and work together as one. But they need to understand the truth. They got to accept it. They got to accept it. And there's a lot of them that are just so arrogant. They're so arrogant in their believing their white supremacy is ridiculous. Because if you really understand the true history and you go back and you read, and it's in the universities and it's in the museums by these entities, by the custodians, compliments of them, it's there. If they want to do the legwork and see, oh, okay, well, they're not black, they're indigenous, they're autochthonous. And what we've been taught is a lie. Here's the truth. We all need to come together and love and understand that these were once a great people. And we are all great people now because we house the spark of creation within us. And we need to be together. We need to be together as one and move together as one. All races for the new humanity. That's the thing. But we got to peel back that separate self and we've got to shed the bullshit. And I don't know. I don't know if it's, you know, I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll put it that way. I believe we can do anything we put our minds to. And with that, my dear friends, I'm going to close it out. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me to come into your world for 40-something minutes and talk and share my projects, my passion, my love, and also read to you a bit and just give you my feedback. You know, my key takeaway point is we need to do everything in love. We need to move as one. And that's why I don't associate with a lot of people. I really don't. I can count on both hands the people that are in my circle. And it's really just really one. But I'll give it two hands that are in my inner circle. I keep everything close. And I don't interact with a lot of people because of that. I'll just put it that way. So anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for joining me. Let's remember, we need to be the change that we want to see all around this planet. Because at the end of the day, it's up to you and I to make a positive change against these custodians, these parasites, right? We need to kick them out of our dome and let them go back and lick their wounds and step off. But time is of the essence, people. We're under a great reset now, so who knows how much longer we have. I love you guys. Peace.